A massive realignment is happening right now in the global chip industry. We're talking about a huge policy shift with billions and billions of dollars on the line.
That single idea, it's changing the entire game for investors. A fundamental reshoring is underway, and believe me, it's happening a lot faster than anyone thought. This is the chip market.
So to understand where all that capital is going to flow next, you first have to understand the catalyst. And it really all kicked off with a major U.S. policy pivot in late 2025 that basically created a brand new semiconductor map.
Okay, the crucial point here is the shift from just, aspiration to actual action. The old Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, the IPEF, was basically a non-binding handshake. These new bilateral pacts with key partners like Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand, these are binding trade agreements. We're talking real tariff cuts, concrete cooperation. This is friendshoring in practice.
You know, the details of these deals are what really give them their strategic teeth. We're seeing these binding, reciprocal tariff cuts. Thailand, for example, is said to eliminate tariffs on pretty much all U.S. goods. And then you've got Malaysia agreeing not to block exports of critical rare earth minerals. You see what's happening? The U.S. is using trade policy to build a much more secure and aligned supply chain, literally from the ground up.
And all this policy momentum, it's really designed to fuel the rise of a new semiconductor powerhouse, Southeast Asia. And this isn't just about moving a few factories around. No, it's about creating specialized, integrated hubs in the global ecosystem.
To really get the magnitude of this shift, you have to look at the landscape today. OSAT, that's the back-end assembly, testing, and packaging of chips, it is incredibly concentrated. In 2023, Taiwan and China together controlled about 75% of the entire global market. That is a massive geopolitical choke point.
And here you can see the impact of that de-risking effort in action. Just look at Vietnam. It's projected to grow from just 1% of global OSAT capacity to nearly 8% in a single decade. Folks, this is not a minor adjustment. It is a tectonic shift in where the world's chips get finished.
And it's not a one-size-fits-all strategy either. Each country is carving out a very specific role. Malaysia is pushing hard into advanced packaging, even some chip design, and it's backed by giants like Intel and Infineon. Vietnam is quickly becoming the go-to hub for high-volume assembly and testing, and Thailand is targeting that booming market for power electronics and automotive chips.
And if you need a single number to really grasp the scale of this capital commitment, here it is, $7 billion. And that's just Intel's investment in its new advanced packaging plant in Malaysia. This is real capital making very long-term bets on the region's central role in the future of chips.
So, what's the grand strategy here? Well, it really boils down to one key concept for global investors and policymakers alike: de-risking the supply chain by strategically redistributing manufacturing.
The primary goal is pretty direct. Take that 75% market concentration in Taiwan and China and just dilute it. By building out capacity in allied nations in Southeast Asia, the U.S. is aiming to create a more resilient supply chain, one that's way less vulnerable to a single point of failure. But this shift isn't a silver bullet. It actually introduces its own set of challenges that investors absolutely have to watch. We're talking about the need for reliable power and water, a massive shortage of skilled engineers, and of course, a continued reliance on imported equipment. Investors have to ask themselves, are we really diversifying risk, or are we just swapping one concentration risk for another?
Okay, this is where it gets tactical. With any major structural shift like this, there are always going to be clear corporate winners and losers. So let's break down who is really positioned to benefit and who might be at risk.
So, the most direct beneficiaries are the OSAT firms building out all this new capacity. Amkor Technology is a prime example, putting $1.6 billion into a new state-of-the-art facility in Vietnam. ASC Technology is also expanding aggressively in the region. These companies are right on the front lines of this build-out.
But the impact is way broader than that. You've got Intel. With its massive existing and planned footprint in Malaysia and Vietnam, they're a clear winner. And don't forget the picks and shovels play here. Equipment makers like Applied Materials and Lam Research, they benefit whenever a new facility gets built, no matter where in the world it is.
Now on the flip side, Chinese OSAT firms like JCET Group and Chunongfu Microelectronics, they're now facing much stiffer competition. As U.S.-aligned companies start redirecting their supply chains, these firms risk a potential loss of market share. It's just that simple. Okay, so
For an investor, how do you translate all of this into an actual actionable strategy? Let's walk through a playbook for positioning your portfolio for this next decade of semiconductor growth. A sound approach can really be broken down into 3 simple steps. First, you get broad, diversified exposure to the entire sector through ETFs. Second, you make tactical bets on the specific companies we've talked about that have direct exposure to the Southeast Asia build-out. And third, and this is key, you monitor the indicators to make sure the thesis is actually playing out as expected.
Here's a quick watch list to get you started. For direct U.S. exposure, you're looking at names like Intel, Amkor, and Applied Materials. For the international players, ASE and Infineon are key. And for diversification, the broad semi-ETFs like SMH and SOXX, or even a targeted regional fund like the Malaysia ETF, EWM, are all great options.
And here's your dashboard of key metrics. You've got to keep a close eye on the quarterly capital expenditure announcements from the major players. Watch the revenue growth and forward guidance from the OSAT farms. Track the electronics export data coming out of Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand. And of course, stay on top of any policy adjustments. This is the data that's going to tell you if this trend is accelerating, stalling out, or even reversing.
This all brings us to the fundamental question for any long-term investor, right? Are we just looking at a short-term, cyclical trade that's based on current geopolitics, or is this a secular, decade-long structural transformation of one of the world's most critical industries?
Well, the evidence strongly suggests this is a deep, structural shift. The semiconductor supply chain is realigning faster than ever before, and understanding where that capital is flowing next could absolutely define the next decade of returns.
So what's your take on this great chip reshoring? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more investor-focused insights on the future of chips.